Yes or no? Is there anything that Donald Trump could do that would make you regret your vote?
Doing something to my daughter, if he personally did something to my daughter, absolutely.
Okay, so if he raped your daughter, you want to vote for him. What if he raped somebody else's daughter?
Then that person shouldn't vote for him.
But you would still vote for him?
I will vote for him. I will vote for the fact that he put something in place where man is not competing against my daughter. That's simple.
What if he committed a genocide?
Done something to somebody else's child.
I have a question. What if he committed a genocide on the other side of the world? He bombed and killed 1 million people. Would you still support him?
They should retaliate.
Diego Armando Garcia was being beat and literally tortured by the guards in El Salvador. I mean, he's like testified to been forced to kneel from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And if he fell out of exhaustion, he would have been beat by the guards. He testified that he was beat by the guards.
That's one occasion. I don't think Trump has any clue that happened until it happened, realistically. He's the leader of an entire country. How is he going to know about something like that?
His White House posted about it on Twitter, acknowledging that they have knowledge of it and said he never returned. What's up, Crisco? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I supported his ability to remove man for women's sports. I'm a girl dad, and so my daughters both compete on a high level, and I would never want them to have to compete against a male because we are naturally stronger. As far as digging deep into what he is and what he does, I haven't done it. But when that came across my desk via email from a family member, I thought that was an excellent idea, being that my daughters do compete since they were young till teenagers.
So like the 12 trans women that were in the NCAA, that's like an outweighing concern over everything else for you. So, I mean, I think there's two things I want to say here. I don't know how like the right has successfully convinced you to like place 12 trans women over the 66 million American women and girls that have lost their human rights / access to abortion, or the fact that more women have accused Donald Trump of raping them than there is trans women competing in the NCAA, or like, I don't know, maybe we would want 17 million Americans to have health insurance compared to not wanting 12 trans women to compete in the NCAA. I just think that there's much larger concerns here, significantly larger concerns. So it's crazy that this is like the number one thing on the chopping block. So, I mean, would you say like overall, like Donald Trump preventing trans women from competing in women's sports outweighs the bad of everything else?
No, see, that's the thing. I think that you're looking at a broad spectrum because you're intelligent in this market. I'm telling you, as a girl, that I have two daughters who play sports since they were about 7 years old, and now they're 17. I understand that there's trans men or women or however you want to label it that have been playing in sports. I don't want my daughters to have to face the opposite sex in what they do. I don't care that the trans are in there competing, do their thing, but I don't want my daughter to ever have to face a guy in any sports, especially when it's time to get, where she has to.
And because Donald Trump is preventing that is like the most important thing to you. Okay.
I just heard.
So you're like huge.
Is it false or no?
So you just really care about what you deem as women's rights, correct?
I just care about my daughters. That's it.
And you would really care about like keeping like a man out of like your underage daughter's like dressing room, for instance?
I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't see a reason why he would be in there with my daughter.
Okay. So, I mean, like I said, what do you think, like, imagine that there's a shitty man, right? Not a trans woman, a cis man that walked into the changing room of your daughter. She's 17. She's an underage girl. She's naked, undressed. What do you think should happen to that man?
If he walks in, walking in for what exactly? Did he walk in on accident?
To perv on them while they were naked, and he did so intentionally.
He gets the same treatment as anyone else.
What should happen to him?
If he tried something, he should be locked up.
He should be locked up. Now, what if that man like boasted about it, like said that your daughter's naked body was really good looking, and then said he could get away with those kind of things, and never got locked up, and then ran for president? Would you ever consider voting for that man?
What, as far as him just seeing or him actually touching my daughter? I mean, because it's natural.
Walked into. Finish that sentence.
It's natural for men who are attracted to women to naturally be attracted to a female. Now, if he finds out that she's underage, then yes, that makes all the difference. But if he walks in and he doesn't know how old she is, but she looks grown, then that's natural. But if he walks in and he sees a little girl, like if my daughters were back in the...
Okay, I just want to clarify what we're talking about. We're talking about a man intentionally walking into a woman's only space where he knows there's no men around, where he knows men shouldn't enter into, for the specific reason of perving and looking at the naked bodies of the undressed women and underage teenagers. And you're saying that's natural?
No, I said he should. No, no, no. Don't let me speak and don't mix up my words.
What is natural about a pervert walking into a women's only space to exploit the women in that space?
I'm trying to explain. I said naturally, anybody that does that need to be jailed. Naturally. Now, if he's walking in, it's so he can see something that he is attracted to. That's normal. That's why he's there. So he's walking in for a reason. He's walking in to see something that he's attracted to.
That's normal? That's normal? That's why he's there? What is I don't know what to say to you. I'm a little lost for words. I'm a little lost for words because I just want to make sure that the expression, the sentiment that you're responding with to the idea of a grown adult man, okay, walking into a woman's only space, a woman's only dressing room, because he knows that there's implicit consent in that space.
Why didn't he walk into a man's only dressing room? Because he was attracted to the women. So he's attracted to that. That doesn't make it.
You understand basically an analogy of what you're saying is that a man raped a woman because he's sexually attracted to women, and that attraction is normal and natural.
He should be jailed.
So what is the ultimate intent or message that you're trying to convey to me and trying to convey to everybody at home watching when you respond to me describing an older adult male perving on naked teenage girls by saying that those attractions are normal and natural?
For him, those are normal. That's why he do it. He still should be jailed. It doesn't make it right.
And what is the intention of describing that those attractions are quote unquote normal? What is the motivation behind that?
He just said that he's a perv. And that's what he does. So if he walks in a women-only place, then that means that's what he does and that's what he's attracted to. So he should be jailed. It's like you're digging deeper for no reason. He's attracted to whether they're young or whether they're older women, and he's a pervert. He needs to be jailed. That's his norm. What he does. He needs to be jailed. What are you talking about?
Would you ever vote for an older gentleman that has done this and admitted to it if they were to run
I also feel like I said, whether it's man or woman, whoever does it needs to be jailed. It's not right.
So answer my question. If an older man did this, boasted about it, said he got away with it, never got jailed, then ran for president, would you ever vote or support that man?
Absolutely not.
Don't be a hypocrite.
He should be jailed. It doesn't matter who it is, bro.
Even if it was Trump.
Prove your point.
Even if it was Trump,
it doesn't matter. You don't understand what part of it doesn't.
I think you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
So the non-hypocritical, rational response would be at this point to say that you're no longer a Trump supporter because immediately before I rolled that tape, you said that you would never support anybody that did this. You'd never vote for them to be the president, even if it was Trump. I'm putting my money on you just being a hypocrite and trying to find some way to
it's not hypocritical because you got to first
in order to still support Trump. So which one is it? Are you no longer MAGA? Are you no longer MAGA, or are you going to find a way to contort? Right.
It's like you have one angle that you're trying to prove here. I'm trying to explain to you what it is. It doesn't matter who's in office. No one is ever going to agree with everything from top to bottom that any president does. He needs to be jailed if that's what he did. According to the audio you played, he needs to be jailed. He's not any different than anybody else. So if he walked in because he's a perv and he did that, he needs to be jailed. It doesn't matter if there's a pink dinosaur running for president. If he is going to keep men from competing against my daughters in sports, I'm voting for the dinosaur. You guys sit up here and just hate one person for that reason. It doesn't matter who it is. Anyone that does that needs to be jailed. It does not matter. But there's no president that's ever ran for the seat and everyone liked everything that they brought to the table from top to bottom. It's impossible to like that. Everybody votes for their own liking, and some people never even read everything about what presidents do anyway. They grab a bit and they run with it, like myself. When I heard via email that he had a bill that kept men from competing out of women's sports, my light bulb went off like, whoa, that's pretty cool because I have daughters who compete in sports trying to get scholarships. It would suck that they would have a horrible game against a male the day the recruiters are coming to watch them play. And so for me, I thought that was a good idea. If he is
there anything that Trump could do that would make you retract your support for him and make you regret your vote?
It's like I said again, it doesn't matter who the president is. If that's something that he did on that audio, he needs to be jailed.
Is the answer to my question, yes, there is something Trump could do that would make me retract my support from him and regret my vote? Or is the answer no, there's nothing that he can do?
No, I wouldn't. Like I just told you, I'm a girl dad. I wouldn't retract men from competing against my daughter.
Is there anything that Trump could do? Any red line that would make you regret your vote?
And that it doesn't see you're digging for no reason. That to compete.
I want an answer to my question.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yes or no? Is there anything that Donald Trump could do that would make you regret your vote outside of not running on policy? That would
doing something to my daughter. If he personally did something to my daughter, absolutely.
Okay, so if he raped your daughter, you want to vote for him. What if he raped somebody else's daughter?
Then that person shouldn't vote for him.
But you would still vote for him?
I will vote for him. I will vote for the fact that he put something in place where man is not competing against my daughter. What
if he committed a genocide?
Done something to somebody else's child.
I have a question. What if he committed a genocide on the other side of the world? He bombed and killed 1 million people. Would you still support him?
They should retaliate.
But would you regret your vote if tomorrow he dropped a bomb and killed 1 million people in Asia?
If no men had to face against my daughter, absolutely not.
So
that's it. I don't care about y'all, you, or anybody else. I care about my circle, and my household. If he does something to somebody else,
I have a question.
Need to go handle him.
I have a question.
I will handle him.
I have a question. If Donald Trump re-legalized slavery in America, and it didn't personally impact you or your family or anybody that you personally know, enslaved 5 million African Americans in this country.
That's a fucked up situation, and somebody need to pull together so we can turn it around.
Would you have regretted your vote?
My vote is about my kids.
So he could literally re-implement slavery, and you still would have stood behind your vote for him.
If it impacts my children,
it didn't impact your children.
That's what I'm saying. If it doesn't impact any in my family, then no.
What if he systemically slaughtered every single black person in this country? Would you still?
He need to get dealt with.
But this didn't personally impact you or your family. Would you still support your vote?
My vote for men not to face my children.
Would you regret your vote for Trump if Donald Trump systemically slaughtered every black person?
Because I already told you it's not about Trump. I just told you that. It could be anybody. It could have been the dinosaur. It could have been the leprechaun. For that, so I don't vote for him for anything else. That's it. According to what you played, the audio you played, it sounds like he's a horrible dude. But if you get Trump out of office right now, the next person get in, no matter who it is.
So that guest was an actual psychopath to the fullest extent of what that word means. That was completely just absolutely deranged. Can we all agree that people like that shouldn't be able to vote? Is that something that we could agree on? Yeah, because I don't think he should be able to vote. Not at all. Not at all. So we're going to move on now. We kicked him off. That guy was a psychopath. He shouldn't be able to vote. Let's go ahead and see what the next guest has, because we're trying to talk to people here that are not just completely detached from reality. Just completely detached from reality. That's probably like the craziest guest I've ever had on the stream. That was just completely insane. Mr. Big P, take it away. Why do you support Trump?
Yeah, so I support his ideas of a decentralized government, and I also really like the ideas of a smaller government and less taxes.
Okay. Well, according to the Center of Pennsylvania, taxes are going to be raised on the average American as a result of the big, beautiful bill. To your claim about less spending, so he's actually just signed in the largest spending bill ever, clocking in at $4 trillion over the course of the next 10 years. That is literally the same amount of money as every penny spent by the Biden-Harris administration in the last 4 years, including on COVID. So I don't know, man. Maybe he's not your guy. Then you said that you wanted a smaller government. Okay, well, I don't think that playing judge, jury, and executioner and sending Abrigo Garcia to be literally beaten, tortured in a center for terrorists in El Salvador, violating his constitutional rights illegally, is going to be indicative of A, a decentralized government, or B, a small government. So everything that you just said is not true of Trump. In fact, the opposite is true.
Right. So I don't follow current politics too much. So can you explain to me further what's going on with that individual? What'd you say his name was? Or her name was?
Kilmar Armando Abrigo Garcia. He was an immigrant that was sent to CICOT in El Salvador and beaten, tortured for 3 weeks. While he was there being beaten, tortured, the Supreme Court had unanimously ruled that the Trump administration's removal of him to El Salvador was illegal and they had to facilitate his return. And then after they ruled it as illegal and told them that they had to facilitate his return, Trump's White House went on Twitter and said that he's literally never coming back. So they broke the law and ignored SCOTUS's order after originally breaking the law on their removal of Armando Garcia. And this was all while Abrigo Armando Garcia was being beat and literally tortured by the guards in CICOT in El Salvador. I mean, he's testified to been forced to kneel from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And if he fell out of exhaustion, he would have been beat by the guards. He testified that he was beat by the guards. Testified that the guards kind of stuck him in a really small room with bright fluorescent lights on 24/7 with no windows, with a bunch of other people. He lost 31 pounds in 3 weeks. This is indicative of a very centralized government with power in the executive branch, and with an overreach of humanitarian rights. Playing judge, jury, and executioner. And I mean, we see this a lot. They also passed an executive order banning birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants. That executive order, explicitly violated the Constitution. He still passed it, and he doesn't care. And then he had a bunch of federal judges rule that was illegal. Ultimately speaking, that would be an example of a decentralized government with checks and balances. But then he basically compelled SCOTUS to turn around and rule that those injunctions weren't nationwide, only regional. So now that constitutional violation is still in effect in some parts of the country, nearly 5 months after it was originally signed in by an EO, which is just completely ridiculous, incredibly tyrannical, indicative of a large government with centralized power to not just one branch, but one person. Ideologically, this should be in contradiction to every motivation that you shared with us when you first joined this live and described why you like Trump.
Yeah, so let me say this. So obviously, let me make this abundantly clear. I don't agree with him being tortured and everything. And I did hear about that. I just didn't remember him and everything. How does that indicate a centralized government? I mean, that's one occasion. I don't think Trump has any clue that happened until it happened, realistically. I mean, he's the leader of an entire country. How is he going to know about something like that? How does that indicate a highly centralized government? I feel like that's
his White House posted about it on Twitter, acknowledging that they have knowledge of it and said he never returned.
Yeah, after it happened, of course, but
after he was removed, but before he was returned, and that was the time when he was being beaten and tortured after the SCOTUS had ruled it was illegal.
Okay, I get what you're saying, and I also do disagree with that, and I feel like it is centralized. And don't get me wrong, that's one of the things that Trump has done that I don't agree with. Right.
So then, what has he done that you do agree with?
I do agree with his opinions on allowing more and more things to the states, from abortion, from marijuana to this, that, and every other thing. Giving it.
You got cooked, bro. You got absolutely flamed. You can't say the names of drugs on TikTok Live. It's a very unknown rule. No, and it makes no sense. And typically when I'm having a conversation with a guest that's framed in a way where I would expect them to maybe say the name of a drug, I give them that heads up. But every so often there'll be a guest that just randomly drops it and something I can't foresee. And I always feel so bad when that happens because I have to immediately turn around and kick them. I always feel really bad when that happens. I'm sorry, Big P. I'm sorry, man. That sucks. That sucks. That could have been a good conversation. Yeah, rough.